Sure, testing 1, 2. Can you hear me? All right. Testing. Good afternoon. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Guam Ethics Commission to order this Friday, April 28, 2023 at 12:34 in the afternoon. If I could ask our executive director to go ahead and call roll.
Of course. Starting out with Chairman Christopher Cruz,
Present.
Vice Chair Margaret Tykenko is not present at the moment. Commissioner Marilyn Borja,
Present.
Commissioner Dr. Robert Jack,
Present.
Commissioner Daphne Leon Guerrero,
Present.
and Commissioner Shannon Murphy is not present. Mr. Chair, with 4 members present, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. So let's go ahead and move down to the approval of minutes.
If I might add, Mr. Chair, sorry to interject.
Sorry.
If it would be appropriate for the commission to possibly entertain a motion to excuse members not present today.
Okay, sure. Then we'll do that right now. Could I get a motion to excuse members not present?
I'll make a
Propose motion to excuse members not present.
Do I have a second?
second.
Great. Any further discussion? All right, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed with the motion passing unanimously? Now we can move to the approval of minutes for our January 31st regular meeting.
I have one question about the minutes, just for clarification on the executive director's report. The paragraph B says the office received notice from various departments that payment for prior ethics training was processed and received by DOA, yet remain unprocessed. Do we mean to say it was processed by the departments and received by DOA and then remain unprocessed by DOA?
Yes, Commissioner Dr. Jack, that is correct. If appropriate, we could possibly make a sentence structure change to be clear that it completed the department's process, but still was pending with DOA. And then the motion would be to approve the minutes subject to corrections.
Do we have any further discussion on the meeting minutes rather for our January 31st meeting? Hearing none, could I get a motion to adopt the minutes subject to edits as noted?
I'll motion to adopt the minutes with edits.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor of adopting our January 31st minutes subject to edits, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Go ahead and turn the floor over for item number 3 to our executive director for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I do have quite the report to provide to the commissioners considering we've last met since January. And at any time in each of the particular items, if you have questions or would like to respond to it, I welcome that. So I'll go ahead and begin with item A, which is the ethics training update. So there was a total of 5 workshops that were conducted between February and April. We had one workshop which was designed specifically for appointed members of boards and commissions, and that was well attended. and another that was dedicated to members of the 37th Guam Legislature and their senior staff. So we're presenting the table for your review that shows the level of completion for both our live workshop and online workshop, and then the totals at the end there of the table. To move on to the next item, we did meet with the DOA Division of Accounts Comptroller, Grace Adroza, to talk about the unprocessed payments, which were discussed in the January meeting. Due to some staff changes in the department, new points of contact have been identified to help the commission with its requests. The office has also come up with a better process for reconciling paid invoices. Since then, the commission has successfully processed all outstanding payments amounting to 54,000, and we continue to provide certificates of completion for settled invoices. The next item is assistance from the Bureau of Budget and Management Research. So we received support from BBMR Director Lester Carlson and his staff with regards to collecting old payments from line agencies. This reduced, if not eliminated, the number of outstanding invoices owed by several government entities. There, however, remains around 24 open or unpaid invoices, mostly from autonomous government of Guam entities, of the over 400 invoices that were issued in fiscal year 2022. We continue to work with the remaining agencies pending payment to close out that fiscal year. The next item is recruitment of the Ethics Investigation and Compliance Officer 2. Following the Commission's adoption of establishing the Ethics and Investigation and Compliance Officer position series, a memorandum was transmitted to DOA Director Ed Byrne, formally requesting for the announcement, rating, and the establishment of a list of qualified applicants for that Ethics Investigation Compliance Officer 2 position. The job announcement opened on March 31st and closed on April 20th. I'd like to note that the standard number of days that we would leave the position opens 10, but for this particular position, we've expanded it to 15. So we added more days for potential applicants to apply. A list of persons qualified for an interview was requested on Monday, and we hope to schedule interviews shortly after receiving this list. So I look forward to working with all commissioners who wish to participate in the interview process. If you could just indicate to me that you do have an interest, and we can work the schedule around your availability. The next is that we've met with, at the invitation of the Office of Finance and Budget with the Guam Legislature to discuss the Commission's budget request for fiscal year 2024. During our meeting with that office, I was joined by our Chairman, Christopher Cruz, to advocate for the full appropriation of our budget requests. It was a productive meeting with the team, and we emphasized the strong need for the full funding in order to achieve this organization's goals. We'll continue to work closely with that office to ensure that our request is fully understood and prioritized. The next item is on the COBO Connect series. So being a part of the Council on Governmental Ethics Laws, COBO typically only meets once annually for their annual membership meeting, and recently established this Connect series, which spans the engagement to monthly with its members across its network. So I'm very pleased to share that we were able to participate in the first session, which tailored towards outreach and training. And I really want to recognize our members, Ruben and Pam, for being present in that training. They had to wake up really early in the morning because most of the members are based in the East Coast. So, but they had a lot of fun from what I hear. And the next one, I think, will tailor towards FOIA requests. So we recognize that the organization provides a lot of relevant and helpful information. And so we'll continue to engage as those workshops appear or become available. There is a Government Ethics Fund annual report due to the Commission based on its adopted resolution number 2021-002. And this is just to highlight the performance of the Government Ethics Fund. This is our special fund and will be discussed under new business item A when we entertain the fiscal year adjustment for 2023. The next item is on the Judiciary of Guam pilot project request. And so our office was approached and met with staff attorney Suzanne Santiago Hinkle and HR Administrator Barbara Jean Perez regarding the judiciary's request to become an approved provider for ethics training specific to employees of the judiciary. And I advised them that the project seems possible, but that I would need the concurrence of the commission before I proceed with negotiating the terms. What we hope to do is to find out that the curriculum aligns with what's required in statute and what's currently provided by the workshops offered by our office, as well as what fee, if any, would be appropriate to sort of record their participation or their completion of the training if we don't need to provide them with an instructor or other materials. And with the blessing of the commission, I can proceed to the next phase, which is discussion of the memorandum of understanding between our two entities. And we can work out those details and have it presented to the commission by their next meeting. The potential target for implementation is about next fiscal year, October 2023. All right, the next item was, I'm pleased to report that I had received the invitation to be the featured speaker for the Association of Government Accountants Guam chapter during their March meeting. That was actually a very good presentation, a well-attended presentation. We received a lot of engaging questions from the audience members about the work of the commission. So it's a rare opportunity because most of the work, I imagine, needs to be done through closed proceedings. So there's not much we can discuss, but there was quite a bit of information that we were able to share, like the number of employees or officials that were trained, as well as the number of cases that are currently filed with the commission that have been adjudicated and remain pending before it. And I think that kind of led into the growing interest about the work of the commission. And I do have a recording of at least just that presentation. If you'd like a link, we can share that with you and you can watch for yourselves. Speaking of outreach, I think March was an outreach event. My alma mater, Southern High School, had reached out to see if we'd be interested in participating in their career day. And I didn't want to pass up on that opportunity. I found that, hardly ever, at least during my time as a student, did we get folks interested in going down that far south. And to have students engage with at least this office and what we do was worthwhile. And it proved so when Pam Rubin and I went down there. The students were very engaged. We created activities for them to deal with scenarios of ethical dilemmas. And it was interesting to see how the students crafted how they might respond. But through that, I think we discovered that there is potential to expand that and possibly go out to all the other schools. Eventually, these students are going to become the future workforce for the government. And it would be nice to start early the concepts about how to be prudent and excellent government in Guam employees or officials. And so I think we tasked Pam to lead in that initiative. And so we hope that we can do more outreach events to our school-aged kids. The next is the Ethics and Leadership UOG pilot program. This was approved back in the commission's July meeting of 2022. And in it, there was a course, Ethics and Leadership, that the university had proposed. They could have the students go through their traditional curriculum in addition to content related specific to ethics and government program. And at the end, the students would obtain a certificate of completion, which is equivalent to what you would receive if you took our workshop. So we're concluding this agreement on May 15th. The last batch of students will receive their certificates before the end of the semester. So the office will compile that information and share a report at the next meeting. The next is on the confirmation hearing on the reappointment of Christopher Cruz. So the legislature held a confirmation hearing for Chairman Cruz on March 24th. We are thankful for those senators that were in attendance and able to engage the chairman about the work he, as well as the other commissioners, continue to deliver on behalf of the people of Guam. And his nomination has since been referred out of the legislative committee and is currently in the voting file in the current legislative session. The next is on disclosure statement transmittals. So pursuant to section 15208 of the commission's enabling statute, we are in receipt of communication from the Guam Election Commission as to the filing of disclosure statements for public officials. This includes disclosures of conflicts of interest for members of boards and commissions and financial disclosure statements for elected and appointed officers. To date, the commission received a total of 55 requests for extensions and have begun the reconciling the files received against our current roster of officials who have registered with the commission. A full report will be prepared and discussed again in the commission's May meeting. We also have the commission's annual report. So pursuant to section 15401F, we are required to draft an annual summary of decisions made by the commission from March 2022 to March 2023. And so we're going to pass that around now for your preliminary review. So it's currently with our legal to vet. We are required to make sufficient deletions and omissions to avoid any indicating information as to who the named official is or which office they belong to. But we're rather pleased with the product that we're able to share with you. And I know that that would probably raise some questions. I really want to acknowledge and commend Ruben here is responsible for the layout and the photos. Actually, he went around so that none of the photos were subject to copyright issues. And I just had the easy work of content and the text that you would see there. So, you know, I really want to thank also Pam. She helped in drafting up what the summaries would be for the cases that she's handled, as well as Ruben's cases. And we're able to produce that. It's pretty amazing that it's been a year that the commission has begun accepting complaints and that the commission was able to get through as many as it did. Since then, I think the number of cases filed has doubled. But, you know, I think that speaks to the continued awareness of the community at large as to the commission's work and what it hopes to provide for the people of Guam. I think the last portion of my report is on the account balances, so like a budget summary. And you'll see those amounts reflected in the table within the director's report. So if you have questions to that, again, we'll be discussing in greater detail under item A for new business. But that, unless there are specific questions I can entertain at this point, concludes my director's report.
Thank you, Director King. I just want to shout out and, you know, thank you and your team for lots of work since our last meeting, lots of good work. So I think the commissioners may echo that sentiment, and I leave that open to them for further comments. So, but thank you all for all of this since we last met.
And before we continue further, Mr. Chair, if we could just state for the record that Commissioner Meg Taikenko has now joined us and is present for the meeting.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Just a couple comments. The outreach program at Southern High School, I think excellent, and looking at expanding that, I think great idea for, you know, for us to start educating the high school students about ethics and the importance of ethics, so that maybe we don't have cases, we just have training, right?
That's the
That's
hope.
the
Yeah,
goal.
that's the goal.
to put ourselves out of business. And then regarding the judiciary of Guam requesting to have their own, maybe that's something we can discuss.
Definitely. And you know, obviously I'm so pleased to see the level of engagement we're receiving from agencies. And so this is a very proactive response. And I also understand that another entity like the Public Defender Service Corporation had a similar request after their entire office went through ethics training. It's like, could eventually expand to where they identified specific ethics officers within their workforce that can serve as a resource beyond the face-to-face training they have with us. So if there are general questions about the statute or the code of conduct that just like an EEO representative or a personnel officer, that they can identify an ethics centered officer who could just answer a question specific to that. So the judiciary's request, I think, proves the most hopeful and positive. So we will explore how we can make that arrangement possible. And I think both parties are willing to do what's required, at least for the pilot. And then beyond that, we can use the first year's performance to gauge continuity and if there are any things that we might need to improve for such an arrangement. But I do appreciate hearing that, Dr. Jack, that you know you're receptive to that arrangement. I also agree that this is a nice involvement for the commission to have it where it once handled and managed ethics training directly. But eventually after that first training, it would be nice to see that offices have an ethics arm kind of identified within its organization.
And I think it would be important for the Ethics Commission to have some sort of oversight and a regular review of what's happening if that's a route that's taken.
Yes, absolutely. I imagine just like with the University of Guam arrangement in which they were providing us trainers for the ethics workshop, we can input that, you know, the commission would have to evaluate the performance of this particular agreement and determine if it's viable to continue for you know, the subsequent years that follow. But absolutely, it ultimately we want to ensure that they maintain the objectives and the mandates really of what's established in the Guam Code with regards to that ethics and government program for government officials. But that's an excellent note, and we'll be sure to include that with any agreement.
May I? Great work and as chairperson mentions on the work that you guys done since our last meeting and also on the summary of opinions. You mentioned that it's with legal to review.
That's right. We sent it over to legal counsel Joe McDonald, and really where we need his review is we're required to ensure again that we don't identify any particular office or official. And so we felt we did sufficient and even identifying a gender and left it rather broad, but it would be nice to just have third party fresh eyes kind of take a look and see if there's anything else we might need to clean up. But generally, we were only required to give just a summary of opinions, but we felt it necessary to kind of just expand as like an annual report, the whole function of the office, you know, why it exists, what we continue to do and deliver for the people of Guam.
I think it's great for transparency and for information. So who would this be released to or available to?
It would
Just the
be
general.
It would be available to the general public.
Okay,
I think formal transmittal though will be sent to the Guam legislature through the speaker as
Okay.
well as the office of the governor. But we plan to place this right at the front of our website homepage so that anyone can download that report along with our CCR.
I think this is great and we'll do it annually. Is that
Yes.
what- Okay.
Yes.
Very good job on
Thank
just in perusing through it briefly. So, okay. Thank you.
I also just want to echo the sentiments of my fellow commission members. I think you guys have done an excellent job since we've last met. And you know, my fellow commissioners kind of asked the questions that I had wanted clarification on. So I really appreciate all the work that you guys have done so far. Welcome, Ariel. And welcome back, Commissioner Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, commissioners, for chiming in on that. I think we're under a little bit of a time constraint, at least one of us. So would it be prudent to move into closed proceedings first to begin?
Excellent point, Mr. Chair. I agree. I think if no objection to the commission, my recommendation is that we move into item 6 under the agenda titled closed proceedings, so that the commission can be briefed on the cases and updates to the cases presented. And afterwards, we can head back into new business, but I also request that we modify the flow for new business, that we entertain items D and E under new business first, and then we can proceed with the other items on the agenda. I believe we are required by statute to have a minimum of 5 members act on a particular case. So this is why we're requesting to make that modification on the agenda.
Okay, so can I get a motion then to move into closed proceedings and then to straight into I guess new business items D and E following?
I'll motion to go into closed meeting first and then adjust our agenda under 5 to include the cases.
I'll
What-
second.
Perfect. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. We are headed towards closed proceeding.
like tests like this? Hello, can you hear me?
Thank you. Can I get a motion to go ahead and resume regular session? And head right into item 5D of our agenda?
Motion to resume and start with item 5D.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. We are back in regular session. Director King?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll go ahead and have Ruben go through the cases with the script for dismissal.
First case the commission will hear is ETH 22-11-UT-203. Can the staff please read the draft order?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to ethics case number ETH 22 011 UT 203, on January 31, 2023, this matter came before the Guam Ethics Commission, who, after a review of the complaint, found by majority vote, the commission does not have jurisdiction to prosecute this matter. Therefore, it is hereby ordered that Guam Ethics case number ETH 22 011 UT 203 shall be dismissed, and all records and deliberations relating to the complaint herein shall remain confidential pursuant to 4 GCA 15401B and C.
Is there a motion to adopt the draft order on case number ETH 22-011 UT 203?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor
Aye.
to dismiss?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries to dismiss ETH 22-011 UT 203. The next case the commission will hear is ETH 22-019 CI 202. Can the staff please read the draft order?
Thank you, Chairman. In regard to ethics case number ETH 22 019 CI 202, on January 31, 2023, this matter came before the Guam Ethics Commission, who, after review of the complaint, found by majority vote, the commission does not have jurisdiction to prosecute this matter. Therefore, it is hereby ordered that Guam Ethics case number ETH 22 019 CI 202 shall be dismissed, and all records and deliberations relating to the complaint herein shall remain confidential pursuant to 4 GCA 15401B and C.
Can I get a motion to adopt the draft order on case number ETH 22-019 CI 202?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The order of dismissal for ETH 22-019 CI 202 is unanimously approved. The next case the commission will hear is ETH 22-002 UT 201. Can the staff please read the draft order?
On January 31, 2023, this matter came before the Guam Ethics Commission,
who, after review of the complaint, found by majority vote, the Commission does not have jurisdiction to prosecute this matter. Therefore, it is hereby ordered that Guam Ethics Case Number ETH 22-002-UT-201 shall be dismissed, and all records and deliberations relating to the complaint herein shall remain confidential pursuant to 4 GCA Chapter 15401 B and C. So ordered today. Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Is there a motion to adopt draft order on case number ETH 22-002-UT-201?
I move to adopt the draft order.
And I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries to dismiss ETH 22-002-UT-201. The next case the commission will hear is ETH 22-001-UT-201. Can the staff please read the draft order?
On January 31st, 2023, this matter came before the Guam Ethics Commission, who, after review of the complaint, found by majority vote, the Commission does not have jurisdiction to prosecute this matter. Therefore, it is hereby ordered that Guam Ethics Case Number ETH 22-001-UT-201 shall be dismissed, and all records and deliberations relating to the complaint herein shall remain confidential pursuant to 4 GCA subsection 15401 B and C.
Is there a motion to adopt the draft order on case ETH 22-001-UT-201?
I'll motion.
A second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries unanimously to dismiss ETH 22-001-UT-201. The next case the commission will hear is ETH 22-035-UT-201. Can the staff please read the draft order?
On January 31st, 2023, this matter came before the Guam Ethics Commission, who, after a review of the complaint, found by majority vote, the Commission does not have jurisdiction to prosecute this matter. Therefore, it is hereby ordered that Guam Ethics Case Number ETH 22-035-UT-201 shall be dismissed, and all records and deliberations relating to the complaint herein shall remain confidential pursuant to 4 GCA subsection 15401 B and C.
Is there a motion to adopt the draft order on case ETH 22-035-UT-201?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The order of dismissal for ETH 22-035-UT-201 passes unanimously. Director, do we have anything further?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move to item E, Commission to act on the following advisory opinions. AO 23-001. This advisory opinion is in regards to a conflict of interest question received by Dr. Doreen Crisostolo Munya. In it, she wrote to the commission on Tuesday, March 28th, inquiring as to whether her employment at the University of Guam poses a conflict of interest by acting on an issue faced with the Guam Economic Development Authority Board, which she is also a member. And particularly, they're addressing how to allocate $150,000 of public investment funds received by GIDA pursuant to the requirements of qualifying certificate. So her question was whether she could participate in that discussion And we do have a drafted advisory opinion as reviewed by our prosecutorial counsel with the recommendation that we issue this letter advising Dr. Crisostomo Muña that there is no conflict of interest based on the prospective resolution by GIDA 23-007, but that it is further recommended in an abundance of caution that full disclosure of their position at the University of Guam be placed on the record prior to any discussion by GIDA on resolution 23-007. So the request by the office, Mr. Chair, is that the commissioners approve the advisory opinion as drafted by prosecutorial counsel. And with that motion, we do ask the commissioners to sign the advisory opinion. And just to give a little insight, so there was no complaint filed with regards to this case. This is just guidance request that is allowed under the statute enabling the Guam Ethics Commission. And the commission is able to review a matter before any potential conflict occurs and can guide any public official on the steps it recommends to take. And if in the future, a public official were to receive a complaint for the same issue that the commission had already opined on, that the commission's opinion will stand when addressing that complaint.
Duly noted. Thank you, Director King. Do we have any discussion on the matter, commissioners? Can I get a motion to adopt the draft AO advisory opinion?
I motion to adopt the AO opinion.
Thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of adopting the advisory opinion 23-001?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I request for just a 1-minute recess?
Yes. The commission will go ahead and recess briefly. Part of 5, seeing nothing under old business, shall we move on to the remainder of item 5, Director?
That's right, Mr. Chair. If we could just start at the top, which is under new business, letter A, the review and approval of the amended fiscal year 2023 budget and spending plan. And if I might have the opportunity to proceed. So
Please.
the commission had adopted a resolution in 2021. I believe it was resolution 2021-002. This was establishing the authorization for the Government Ethics Fund. The Government Ethics Fund was meant to support the commission operations, and the funds that were received were primarily from ethics training. So in that resolution, there was a mandate that I prepare an annual report on the performance of the fund to share with you how much funds were deposited and what fund amounts were utilized, and then the ending balance of the fund. So this is the table that you see here. And then I'm open to questions. So you'll find that our traditional practice is to work through the DOA and request and allotment disbursement once a quarter. And then the commission had approved its fiscal year 2023 plan for what funds would be supported by the Government Ethics Fund. And so all of these amounts that you see here are corresponding to those approved amounts. The balance you'll find at the first page at the top. So that's the funds that remained, and it corresponds with the budget summary that I provided in the director's report. So in the director's report, under revenue account, the total there should reflect that same amount. I apologize, we'll update that, but that was inclusive of the last 3 purchases made from the fund account, which we hope to get approved. So if you move past the annual report, if there are no questions, there's the fiscal 23 budget overview. The first page accounts for each of the fund categories, which are salary, benefits, travel, contractual, rent, supplies, equipment, drug testing, etc. And the total funds received or requested was $474,919. Of that amount, the legislature appropriated through Public Law 36-107, $355,275. And so that amount was spread to the categories you see there. What was anticipated to be supported by the revenue fund was $119,644. And that's depicted in the object categories you see on the first page. Now, what was anticipated to be covered by the special revenue fund were our contractual obligations, primarily the copier lease, our memorandum of agreement continuation with the University of Guam, the contracts for both our legal counsel and prosecutorial counsel. We had items for equipment and miscellaneous expenses, primarily meeting ads and stipends, as well as our telephone and internet services. In it, I'm requesting for an amended spending plan, which is found on the subsequent page, to make modifications to the following category. The commission approves spending $36,711 under contractual. We would like to reduce that to $26,800, a reduction of $9,911. We'd like to add more funds into supplies in the amount of $13,200 for workshop materials. Yes, and all other materials that are required. So on occasion, we've also been requested to produce the copies of the presentation for those that are participating. Copies of the presentation, yeah. So that would account for the supplies. Supplies actually was the only category that received a bump. The remaining categories, in addition to contractual, received a reduction. So equipment went from 10,750. We're requesting to reduce that to 8,749. And then for miscellaneous expenses from 19,680 down to 18,392. And then of course you can see that at the sum of both categories, we balance out at 0. So we're taking away again from contractual, from equipment, and from miscellaneous expenses. And we're adding funds into the supplies category to support workshop materials in the amount of 13,200. So that's the request for modification of the FY23 budget as approved by the commission.
Director, any concerns with adjusting these amounts down and potentially sacrificing service, for example?
Great point. So right now, we don't foresee that because we haven't really been purchasing really anything else after that. We do find that if there's a budget expense that we need to account for, this is just to carry us through the rest of the fiscal year, which is September 30, then we can always go back to the commission and ask for another modification. But we find that there's a healthy amount of cushion for us to make any adjustments. But really why we need it less since most of these categories is just, we're trying to limit what items we will purchase this fiscal year to stay within budget. And then when we reduced the expenditures for contractual, primarily when the university didn't continue with its agreement, we ended up boosting our awards to our legal counsels. And there was a lot more cases that came through our office, so those funds were justified.
Yeah, I'm okay with it, just given that this will close out the current fiscal year for us.
Thank you, Dr. Jack. Yeah, and really, I think we're doing our best to stay within the budget ceiling set by the commission at the start of the fiscal year. And we're really more appropriately aligning it to areas of priority rather than leaving open-ended categories that we don't foresee spending in. Yeah, but thank you. And so the request, I believe, Mr. Chair, is we can have a motion to adopt the amended fiscal 23 budget overview as presented at today's meeting.
Can I get a motion to adopt the amended fiscal 23 budget overview?
I move to adopt the amended 23 fiscal budget overview.
And I'll second.
Any further comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And if I may proceed with the next item on the agenda, this is to review and approve the notice of intent to award the IFB number GETHC 001-23 regarding the office space lease. So back in January, I believe the commission was made aware that we were up for our annual lease renewal. And to do our due diligence, we had just put together another invitation for bid, inviting any prospective vendors that had available office space to provide a proposal, which we could consider. And I can ask Rube to give his presentation on the dates that closed and the findings from that open session.
Thank you. So the invitation for bid IFB GETHC 001-23 was officially announced and advertised on January 31, 2023. 0 amendments were issued in regards to this IFB. The bid was officially open and read on February 15, 2023 at 9 a.m. One prospective bidder expressed interest by acknowledging receipt of the big package, and one bidder submitted the bid package, namely Prospector Retail Concepts LLC.
So the recommendation, commissioners, is to approve the notice of intent to award the lease contract to the sole bidder for the IFB. It is our current landlord, so there would be no change. What we found was it's the same space and facilities, and it's the same rent that we're currently paying. So I don't think that there's any change for this agreement, but that we would approve it and put out the adequate number of days which we would receive any protest, but considering we just have one bidder, there's no anticipated protest for this award.
Can I get a motion to adopt the bid order?
I'll give you a motion to adopt the bid order as is.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now to the final item on the agenda. This is relative to the annual performance review of staff. So to share with the commission, the anniversary date for an evaluation, performance evaluation for Pam Abaza was on April 26th. So Pam's been with us now 2 years. She and I went through the, yeah, she's a survivor. She and I did the standard evaluation. I think we call it the work performance evaluation. And in it, we outlined what was the key levels of accomplishment, areas of improvement, as well as set our goals for the upcoming year. I've personally been very pleased with the performance of Pam, and she continues to deliver and is always willing to participate in all activities of the office. And so I commend her for continuing with us. And with that, Mr. Chair, my recommendation is to align Pam with the recently established position series. And so this would mean that we approve Pam to move from pay grade M on the general pay plan to pay grade N on the general pay plan. And that would be the first action, which is to approve my annual evaluation of Pam and then as well as the pay adjustment.
Thank you. Well done, Pam. Thank you for your hard work, especially dealing with our director. I'm only gonna ask the commissioners to vote on this if you want to move. No pressure, no pressure. Commissioners, I'm gonna ask you to make a motion to adopt our director's performance evaluation of Ms. Pam Mabaza
I'll make a
as
motion.
given.
Yeah.
And also his recommendation to move her into our new ethics series, position series.
That's correct, sir. Would be the equivalent to the ethics investigation and compliance officer 2.
Ethics and compliance investigator 2 position.
Correction.
I'm sorry,
Ethics investigation and compliance officer.
ethics
2.
investigation and compliance officer 2.
Yes.
2.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on the matter? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Director. Thank you. Ethics training, never mind.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so we're moving to the second part of the agenda. And let me just pull this up. So this is relative to approving the pay adjustment for employees under the general pay plan. And so I'll just read into the record, Mr. Chair, that there was an approval of Public Law 3703, which adjusted the pay structure for employees under the general pay plan from the competitive wage act of 2014 to the adjusted general pay plan of 2023. This is more commonly known in the public as the 22% pay adjustment for the staff. So my request here is to, in promoting the merit-based recruited employees, align their pay to be parity with all others in the government of Guam. And I have here a resolution that would approve those pay adjustments. So what we found was it was already enacted and approved through a DOA circular, but I felt it prudent to still have board actions support and give direction to the director in order to effectuate those changes approved. And I can read the resolution into the record for the commission.
Please do.
Okay, resolution 23-002 relative to approving the pay adjustment for employees under the adjusted general pay plan of 2023. Whereas the Guam Ethics Commission was established in Chapter 15, Title 4, Guam Code Annotated, primarily to adjudicate complaints filed against elected officers, appointed officers, and public employees of the government of Guam for violating the ethical code of conduct. And whereas in May 2021, members of the 36th Guam Legislature heard and debated Bill 85-36 relative to affirming the independence and autonomy of the Guam Ethics Commission. The bill passed unanimously by the body and was later enacted as Public Law 3628 by Governor Lulian Guerrero. And whereas in January 2022, when setting its annual strategic goals, the commission found that it desired to establish a new series of technical and professional positions in the classified service of the government of Guam to meet its statutory mandates. And whereas in January 2023, the commission adopted resolution 23-001 relative to establishing the ethics investigator and compliance officer position series, initiating the timeline to file these positions with the legislature prior to recruitment. And whereas pursuant to section 15407A of chapter 15, title 4, Guam Code Annotated, the commission recruited its employees through a merit-based system and the approved adjusted general pay plan is consistent with the commission's plan to establish its employees in the classified service to the extent practicable. And whereas the commission now intends to apply the adjusted general pay plan of 2023 to its employees currently within the same pay plan and is acting under the advice of counsel who agrees with the governor's comments when enacting Public Law 3703. And whereas this action is to affirm the protections of the merit-based recruited positions and shall ensure pay parity between the employees of the Guam Ethics Commission and the broader government of Guam. Now therefore be it resolved, the commission affirms through majority vote of members present at a publicly announced open meeting its adoption of resolution 2023-002, formally approving the pay adjustment to its employees under the general pay plan by applying the new compensation levels approved in the adjusted general pay plan of 2023, effective April 28, 2023. And be it further resolved that the commission directs its executive director to implement the adjusted general pay plan of 2023 as authorized by Public Law 3703 and as implemented through DOA Circular 2023-016. And be it further resolved that the chairperson of the Guam Ethics Commission certify and attest to the adoption thereof, and that copies of the same be transmitted to Mr. Edward M. Byrne, Director of the Department of Administration.
Thank you, Director. Can I get a motion to adopt resolution 2023-002 as read into record?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll go ahead and second.
All right, any further discussion on the matter? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Resolution 2023-002 is formally adopted.
The commission already disposed of items D, E, as well as Roman numeral 6 on the agenda.
All right, can I open the floor then to any announcements? All right. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to close at 2:14. Oh, can I get a motion to close our meeting, to adjourn our meeting right now?
Motion to adjourn?
All right,
Second.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, meeting adjourned at 2:14 PM, April 28th, Friday, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.